How are you feeling?
Well, just thrilled. I mean, I'm really interested to see what you guys thought of the game once I get outside, but it was it was a really difficult experience. I think it was a couple different things. One, I think this cast lineup, as excellent as it was not really ideal for me. There were a lot of people who I had beef with from previous things. There were a lot of people who I had talked shit about. There were a lot of people, even from my own season, that I didn't really get along with. And unfortunately, the first 4 people out the door were all people I was on some level good with. And, even if I had won the HOH this week and we managed to rally a little bit, it would have just been sort of a lot of time weeding out people who I either don't like or don't respect. And that's why I said the thing on my way out about how I'd vote for Amelia over most of them at this point, because at least she's doing something. More than half that house is happy to sit around on Discord all day until they get voted out eventually. So, yeah, I guess on some level, I'm just glad to not be in there anymore.
Fair enough. So, say there. Well, I guess you kind of addressed it, but are there any hard feelings or?
Fun enough, not really with anybody who I had beef with in the house. I don't think Amelia and I will ever be friends. I think we've had. I think more than anyone, we are to each other our great adversary in our overall time in Big Brother Discord, or Discord on Big Brother on Discord, not necessarily BBD. We played our first game together. This will be my last game. I can promise you that now. The first time around was a draw because I had to quit. The second time around, I won, and this time she won. And I guess that's as good as one could expect. The only people I would really have issue with are just people who have taken this opportunity to play an All-Stars game and are ruining it. I know that sounds rich coming from somebody who asked to be thrown out the first 2 weeks. Trust me, I get my hypocrisy. But my issue was not that I didn't want to play. My issue was once I got in there, circumstances wound up such that it was either watch friends of mine go out who wanted to play the game or try and stay in and fight, which, didn't really work out. So anyway, my issue was one thing. I obviously don't love that I wanted to quit and wanted to leave because I don't like feeling that way. I have such respect for this game, but I'll take, a bitter fighter over somebody who is just sitting in the house doing nothing at the end of the day. So those are probably the people I have the biggest issues with. I also just think it's weird that Celeste wouldn't even make an effort to try to make amends. I don't know what's up with that girl. I don't know what's up with her game at any time. I don't know why she's so weird talking to people. She's just somebody I'll never get, I don't think.
Right. So, you had an interesting strategy of, being on the block twice and actively campaigning to go home. Do you feel like you were in some way making it to where it was the opposite effect? Do you feel like had you not done that, you would have left already?
1,000%, which is why I didn't say a damn thing this time. I think I was leaving no matter what, or I think JP was leaving no matter what week 1. I think JP ultimately damned himself by trying to Godfrey. And I wrote about that a little bit, or I think I spoke about that in one of my video DRs. To Godfrey only works if the other person next to you is not doing it. So at that point, it was okay, you have JP who's competent, who has a strong number 1 in Delara, and is also going for Amelia, or you have me who's going for Amelia but is notorious for not being able to win comps and does not have a number 1 other than Sex, who's notorious for not, for playing the field in a way. So I don't think I was to blame there. I do blame myself really heavily for Glai's eviction. I was not trying to outlast him. I know he's in the chat. Sorry, Glai. I was not trying to outlast him. I legitimately was sort of, and even in my speech, it wasn't like I was like, send me out again. I made a big deal. It was just sort of like, yeah, no, same thing as last time. I'm ready to go, assuming that like everybody would just do that. But then when they voted me out instead, I realized this time that if I tried that again, it was likely that Lynn would go home, which is why I just basically played dead.
So, you were really close to getting this last HOH, but Amelia beat you just by like a few seconds. How do you feel like things would have shaped out differently had you had gotten it?
My plan was to put up Amelia and Liam, and I'm almost certain Liam would have won the chess veto because I would not have been trying to stop him. I would have been trying to stop Amelia instead. So he likely would have taken himself off. I would have renommed Ryan, and one of them would have gone home. I don't know how much that changes the flow of things because I think, it's entirely possible Amelia just wins the next week and sends me out anyway. I guess I make jury. I guess that's the big thing it changes. But yeah, I mean, obviously I really wanted to win it. I put in a lot of fucking time to win it. I put in money to win it. And that was my choice, and I made that. But to be beaten by her in particular hurt. I'll say that.
That makes sense. So, who do you feel like is playing the best game, and who do you think is playing the worst game?
Your pick on the worst game. Worst is probably okay. I can make two different arguments, right? I could argue that Amelia is playing the quote unquote worst game because I don't think there's any way she gets to the end with the game she's playing right now. It's like more aggressive than Rachel Riley's Big Brother 13 game. Like it's just not something that people are going to leave in. Which I think is ultimately going to benefit Ryan in the long term, because once she goes, he will be seen as less of a threat. He would be my bet to win the whole thing right now, which is why I think he's playing the best game. Sex a close second, I would say. The worst game, other than Amelia, if I was just going for like who's just not doing any damn thing, Larry, like dude's a log. I feel like he was a waste of a spot, to be frank. Again, I think I was a waste of a spot. I recognize my own hypocrisy, but nevertheless.
That's interesting about Larry. He is known for kind of being inactive-ish for a good portion of the game, then randomly starting to like comp out towards the end.
Oh no, I'm very
aware. A mistake that people. Oh, okay.
I'm very aware of what he does. I just don't think that's very interesting to watch. Like the thing about Big Brother on Discord is that there are certain things that'll be true no matter what, right? Like a jury will almost always value comp prowess more than an ordinary or an IRL Big Brother jury will. A player will always sort of go, all right, let's get out the inactives, but will prefer to keep around people that are inactive and maybe have promise of being a good ally. So like with Larry, everybody knows what he does, but instead of going for him while they have the chance now, they're preferring to sort of like engage in this tug of war, which is why it was so baffling to me that Amelia didn't just use week one to get him out, because she still would have taken out a winner. She would have taken out somebody who is proven to be able to do exactly what you're talking about, last until about 2/3 of the way through the game and beast out. But as we all know, she was, as she has admitted, she was crazy paranoid and made moves that she shouldn't have.
So that's interesting. So do you feel like that's where the game is evolving, where these like under the radar players people are mistakenly not paying attention to are going to make it to the end?
And again, calling out my own hypocrisy, I would have been just as big a part of it because my plan was to get out Ryan or Amelia. When in reality, what Ryan, Amelia, me, Vlyn, and Sex really should have done is ally and wind up taking out all of the goats. Because between the 5 of us, we could have gotten, honestly, if we added Liam between the 6 of us, we probably could have won the lion's share of the remainder of the comps. The issue was that there was just so much damage done to trust among those people. Even Sex, who I think can get along with pretty much anybody, is at the point of really actively being upset with Amelia. I just don't think there was any real way forward for us, which is why, even though Vlyn, Amelia, Ryan, and I were talking amongst ourselves about like, oh yeah, maybe a deal to like move us forward. Why, as soon as Amelia won power, she put me and Vlyn up, and if I had won power, I would have put her and Ryan up. It sort of turned into a destructive cycle, and yeah, I think people have got to watch out for Blake. I think people have got to watch out for Larry. I think people have got to watch out for Celeste because everybody forgets, even though her social game is disastrous at the beginning, she can improve it. She's great at comps. There's a lot of big threats left in there right now who just look like logs. Rebellion.
So how do you feel like the trajectory is for your allies right now, Vlyn and Sex?
They've got a tough go of it because Vlyn's unfortunately a big target. Sex's play style, she talks about how she varies up her style, and I think she varies up the affect of it, but I think the general vibe is always going to be the same. She loves playing the middle. She wants to work that middle as well as she can to get as far as she can in the game. The reason she really needed me and Vlyn is because she needs an opposing force to the other side of the house. With just Vlyn, Vlyn can't win every HOH. Vlyn can't win every comp. Sex is going to need to pull out some comps. Unless they can really come up with something creative, I just don't know. A lot of those people are just satisfied being able to ride Amelia's coattails all the way to their inevitable evictions.
All right. Well, we have some spectator questions. So
I can't wait to hear these.
So someone wants to know had you had won the HOH and took Amelia out like you said you were gonna do, what would your strategy afterwards be?
That would have probably been the moment where we turned. Hopefully, Sex would have won the next HOH or something like that, and we would have turned to pulling up weeds. Taking out people who were just content to sit there. When it looked like I was going to win this HOH, I was like, okay, I see a pattern in which Vlyn, Sex, and I sort of alternate over the next few cycles, and each take out sort of a target of sorts for us. I don't know if that wins me the game. At this point, after week 1, I was pretty convinced I was not winning the game. But I think it would have put them in a better position to go far, where while we're doing this, we can kind of isolate people like Liam and even somebody like Celeste, because Sex was really trying hard to work on her, and hopefully pull them in a little bit. If I think about my Big Brother Discord 4 game, like there were a lot of alliances made kind of deep into that game, or at least like solidified deep into that game. Celeste and I didn't really have a working relationship until about week 5, which of course hasn't even happened in this game. So I think there was space to figure things out and make some new relationships, but we needed time and we needed momentum, and we didn't unfortunately have either one of those things.
Right. What do you feel like you improved upon from your previous season?
Well, I certainly probably made for better TV. I mean, no, I mean my 4 game was a miracle, and my 5 game was a disaster. I went from having absolutely no, not only having no eviction votes cast against me, but not even once sitting on the block come eviction night. And I transitioned from that to, I believe, the most votes cast against one person in an individual season with 19 votes against me. So
That's
on
correct.
on a pure record level, I truly could improve nothing. But I do think one of my goals coming in here was, I know the major knock against me in Viewers Lounge last year, or last season, not last year, it was like 2 months ago. Last season was that I can be a little game body. And I hope that I showed that I do have a personality. It's not always the cutest personality, but that, if I weren't so focused on games, sometimes I would be able to bring in a lot of drama. I guess that's as much of an improvement, quote unquote, as I can call it.
What would you say your favorite BBD moment has been thus far? It could be from either season.
I've never felt more exhilarated than during that first double eviction in BBD4. Not just because it was getting Amelia out, although obviously I have positive emotions associated with that, but it was just like we walked into that with a plan, right? And I'd never done a double before. I'd never had the rush of like having to do all of that in one night before. And I had missed, I wanted to do that in another season, and I was sad that I never got the opportunity. So I was excited about it on that level. And then the fact that we had this plan and it worked on every level, it was just like, it was the best I've ever felt. So that was probably my favorite moment from BBD4. I don't know if I can name one from this season, but so I'll take that. But I'll say calling Ryan and Amelia sister wives this season was probably my favorite moment of this season.
Right. So let's take a look at your goodbye messages. I'm gonna add you to the channel and then post them there, and you can react to them from here.
Okay. I'm sure this is gonna be awful.
Let's start us off with Amelia.
Hi, girl. All I got. Bye.
Here's Blake.
Yeah, that's fine. It would have been the best thing for your game a while ago, but fine.
Chloe.
Yes, fair. Amazing how there were many opportunities to do the fair thing around this game, but funny that y'all chose this one.
Larry.
Oh, bye, Larry. It's weird. Larry and I used to have we weren't like close, but we used to have a better dialogue within each other. And this time, I don't know, it was just like we never were able to sort of kick things off.
Glenn.
Yeah, I was really truly willing to sacrifice everything. I truly was gonna use that veto on Lynn. They're the only 2 people in that house that I really love and respect left, and I would have done anything for them.
I was so upset when Celeste won the veto because it looked like you were about to win, and I would have lived for that.
I was ready to deliver an iconic moment. I'm sorry I couldn't.
Here's Axel.
I love that people say that I've been calm and collected. I guess I've lost my shit mostly in private channels, and I haven't looked that crazy in the main house. But like, I've lost my shit in a couple different opportunities. But Axel's not the only person to say that. Axel really fucked himself over by stabbing Gly in the back. That was just an unnecessary move, and beyond just like unnecessary on like on a game level. It was just like, I don't know. It just makes me respect him a little bit less, I guess.
Right, here is Celeste.
You are to blame for that, Celeste. I appreciate you saying that. That makes me happy to hear. I really tried to make up with her. It wasn't even on a game level. It was when I was doing my goodbye tour, thinking I was getting evicted the first time, and so I was like, all right, I really do not want to leave this feeling badly with her, and she just, she's gonna Celeste. But I'm glad to hear her say that at least.
Is Liam.
Oh yeah, I mean, vice versa, Liam. I hope you don't hate me for what I said about you and my DR. Liam's a sweet kid. I just think he doesn't think of himself, or he thinks he's thinking of himself, but maybe doesn't have the strategic game to really do that. Him not even considering flipping on Amelia and Ryan in week 2 when he had the veto opportunity or the renom opportunity. I mean, I don't know. I just think I think he was playing this like it was a normal game, and it's very much not a normal game. But I do still like the kid. He's a sweet kid.
It's Robin.
Bye, Robin. Marina, if you're listening, are you in here? Marina, no, she's not in here. Anyway, if she ever listens to this, Marina got robbed in that deal, and I feel badly because Robin adds nothing to the game being in there.
It's Ryan.
He's playing a very good game. I'll say this: it's an obvious game. I do believe he wanted to work with me in the beginning, but the issue is wanting to work with somebody is only good up to a point, right? Like you have to, if you want to like build past old shit, you've got to like want to work with them, not necessarily one-on-one, but like really invest in that relationship. You've got to trust each other. And I never believed that he really wanted to go there from what I was hearing about what else he was doing in the house.
And here's X's. It's a longer one.
Oh my God. How have you survived this long? Great question, Sex. No, I mean she's always going to be everything to me. I adore her, no matter how much she gives me a headache sometimes when we play together. She didn't really this time. There were a couple of moments where I had issues, but this was a much better. I guess if I'm going to take anything out of this one, it's this. I really enjoyed being able to play a game with Sex where we walked in knowing each other, because for the first couple of weeks of last season, I had to like earn her trust, and being able to have it from moment one was really nice. So that was a great experience. But yeah, I adore her, and I want, honestly, if I gunned ahead, if I could have walked in and said I wanted somebody in particular to win, I wouldn't have picked me. I would have picked Sex. And maybe on some level that's why I did it. Like I knew she would be here, obviously. And I wanted to do it because I love this org and I love the way you guys run it, and I wanted to be a part of All Stars and all of that. But I think if I'm being really honest with myself, there was some part of me that was like, you could probably help Sex get the win that she was denied in BBD4. And, you know, Flynn tried to argue that my game is as good as hers is, and I don't know. I really did like my BBD4 game, but I've never played with somebody like her. And I also think on a level, it's vital that we have more women winners on Discord Big Brother and more Black winners on Big Brother Discord games, more winners of all different races. I look at this org history with 4 white men and knowing that I would have been one of them if I had won, and I'm like, that doesn't represent the incredible diversity of talent that comes through here. Sex is one of the best Big Brother players I've ever seen on Discord. She deserves this win. She deserves the world. And I truly would probably do anything for her.
Nice speech. Um, I do have one more question. So Matt obviously declined to be on the season, but would you have wanted him there? Like, do you feel like you two would have
On a
worked
pure like,
together? Or
on a pure like emotional level, like would I want my best friend there from last season? Yes, absolutely. Do I think it probably would have been bad in the long term? Yeah. Now I'll say this: I think he might have bit the dust for me in week 1, so maybe that would have been good in the long term. But no, I wouldn't want him to be here if he weren't 100% ready and willing to do it, and I don't think he was there. So on that level, and on just like I know he's great, I know he could beat me again level. Much as I love and respect him, I do think it was probably best for me to try this one on my own, or with Sex and Flynn. Really, we just subbed out one twink for the other. It wasn't that different.
fair enough. Well, that's all from me.
All right. Well, I just want to say again, thank you guys so much. You, DR, and Sam run the best damn org out there, and there. I wasn't lying when I told you that you were one of the only, maybe the only org that I would break out of retirement for. Turned out that was a bad choice, but I stand by wanting to do it because this org is unparalleled in that regard, and it deserves all the success in the world. And I will sing its praises from now till kingdom come. I'm going to mute it for a bit after I get out of here because I don't need to watch what happens for a while. But once the wounds heal a little bit, I'll be back.
Thank you.